Hooray! Hello, welcome. What do I need to tell you? I found the old slide decks this morning. It was a nice trip down memory lane. Things I used to do every month. So as you can see, I'm as professional and as organised as I ever was in person. So we'll just make the most of it and we'll get through it somehow. Obviously no pizza at the break because there won't be a break. I don't know if you can get pizza delivered where you are. If you can, I hope you're enjoying that. We used to have a mobile fish and chip van which comes around. It actually stopped right outside my house, which is kind of dangerous. But that's stopped as well now, so that's disappointing. So no takeaways. So this is the plan. I'm going to stop talking and we'll do some showing and telling, and hopefully that'll be cool. If you ever came to one of my in-person things, you know I was really good at giving people pieces of paper and pens to fill out forms, but I haven't got any forms for you to fill out today. But all feedback will be gratefully received. Just in case there is anybody who this is new for. Oh, because I'm not showing like the actual slide, then you don't get the animation in the bit by bit. So up in the top is how you change the view, if you need to change the view, if you want to go from everybody to just who's speaking or presenting. Down the bottom left, most important ones, how you mute or unmute your microphones, how you enable your video if you haven't enabled your video. Down the bottom in the middle, we have the way to show the participants and the chat. Open up the chats, that's good for not interrupting people. You can control who you chat to. And if you have the participant view open, you can also do things like raise your hand if you have a problem and you can't speak, or you want to, there's other options there as well. With that, because of the wonderful way I organize these things with very little planning and organization, I am going to show some stuff first. And so this is Visual Studio. You know it so well. Who uses Blue Theme? I discovered like most people don't use Blue Theme. Does anybody use Blue Theme? Charlie does. Well done. Oh, I've lost. Can't see my. Can't see the chat. What have I done? Where's the chat gone? Out H. There we go. Some people use Blue Theme. I use Blue Theme. Sorry, bear with. And you'll see it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I have two error messages here, probably similar to error messages you have seen in the past. And this top one says unexpected error. They're not real error messages. I faked this just for demo purposes because you know demos are cool. But say I had this in a real app. I might go, oh no, I want to know how do I fix the broken widget? I've got this weird error code. I don't want to type in that error code, do I? Because you know I have better things to do with my time. So I'll probably come in here. I'll say copy. Where is a notepad? Let me switch to notepad so you can see it as well. I'll paste in here. Oh, I've got a horrible long message. Oh. And within there, I'm going to find the bit I want. Probably look something like that. Copy again. Does anyone else do this? Am I the only person in the world who does this? I need some feedback. You can open your mics and say, yes, that makes sense. I've done that before. And you do that, and then you go over to the browser. Where's my browser? It's over here. Oh, no, not that one. Ah! Too many windows. So I come to my browser. Hooray, looks like that. And I'll paste in my thing and I'll search for it. Oh, and even with all the switching, which made it even more complicated, and then hopefully I'm going to see my results, but all that faffing about was too much of a faff, wasn't it? You don't want to be dealing with all that faff.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Good. That's the right answer. So what we'll do now is we'll switch over to my other version of Visual Studio, which I have running. Oh, that's good, isn't it? What's special about this one is that when I come in here, I can go same error message, right click, but now I could just copy the description so I don't need to cut and paste through Notepad to get the bit I want, or I could just like save myself entirely, hit search description, I'll switch over to the browser, and it's done that same search for me. It was one click. That was really nice and easy, wasn't it? Hooray! Hooray, I hear you say. If I switch back to this other one, you see this other error message, it helpfully has a URL in it in the description. But how do I get to that description? That's a pain, isn't it? I don't want to have to cut and paste and do all that faff. Probably don't want to just search for it. I'd probably just want to open the URL. Hooray! And you'll see that if I switch over to the browser, here it's opened my wonderful website where you can learn all about my wonderful book. And you can buy it, and there's a discount code there. Hooray! Or you can sponsor me on GitHub. And I'll send you it as well if you sponsor me on GitHub. So you can do that. So that's wonderful. So how did I do all that? I did that with this wonderful extension which I made called Error Helper. It provides those 3 options in the error list, basically. And you can download and install that. So please download, install that. And your day will be wonderful, and your looking up description error messages and opening URLs will be much easier. And you can configure it to be Google or Bing if you prefer Google and dislike Bing. But while I've got you here, I will quickly show you one more thing. Say I'm working on a project such as this one, and when I open a file, this file, and it's mostly comments. Oh, isn't that terrible? Comment, 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 comment. I don't want to see the comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control M and C, and all the comments get closed, but everything else stays the same. There is built in to Visual Studio the ability just to collapse everything, but it collapses everything. I don't want to collapse everything. I want to see the code, not the comments. So I can do that. Or even better, possibly, if I switch over to my magic or other window. I'm just gonna, where is it? This one, same file, and I'm not touching anything, but it automatically closed all those things up for me. So it's even easier for me to work the way I want to work. And the way I did all that was an extension called Collapse Comments. It's an amazing name, isn't it? Again, you can install that. It provides that Control M, Control C option, and there is a configurable option for whether it automatically closes files when you collapses the comments or files when you open them. I will share the links for these in the chat, if I can find where I put the chat window. So that's the collapse comments one. That's the error helper one. Please give them a try. I'd love your feedback. I'd love for you to download them and install them. I'd love for you to give me a review as well. And that sort of brings me on to what I've learned from doing this. Well, firstly, these were actually easier to do and to make than I thought. However, I had tried to make the error helper one like a year ago and got nowhere with it and gave up. So there might be that I found something new on the interwebs to help me this time, which wasn't there last time. But I've also learned that other people find these really helpful. So here we have some nice Microsoft people saying, this is my favorite one. Jerry Nixon works at Microsoft, says, now I can finally be productive in Visual Studio thanks to this. So obviously he, like me, has to, or got very, very fed up of cutting and pasting the error messages from descriptions. Thoughts, feedback, what do you think? Does that sound, are they things that you might find useful? You can open your mic and talk.
You're muted.
Who's muted?
I get muted. How did I get muted? That was clever. I must press Control M or something. Yeah, I'm using both of them already, Matt. Very, very good.
Hooray. So you know what I'm going to say next?
I'm going to put a review out for you. I have actually been persuading some teams on Microsoft to use them as well, so you might find there's a few real downloads coming your way.
That's very good. Downloads make me happy. So I have a bunch of extensions I've built for Visual Studio, and they're all free just because I think they'd be useful. But I am spending loads of time on them, so it kind of, what I get back from it is feeling happy when I see the download numbers go up and the reviews come in. And every time I get a review, I do a little dance. So if you're really quick and you get a review in while I'm still on the live stream, I'll do a little dance and you'll be able to see it. It won't just be me claiming to do a little dance on Twitter. Oh, thank you. Right. Oh, how do I? I can't make out how to stop sharing. How do I stop sharing? Anyone know?
You have to find a very small zoom icon on your screen.
I thought it would be in the meeting controls or the, oh, hang on, is it in?
It's at the top of the screen that you're sharing.
Did I mute myself? See, I said this would be professional and awesome. Ah. Hooray, I did it. Oh, we have another person joining us. Hello, Greg. Hooray. So just doing some. So Charlie, you should now be able to share your screen.
Okay.
And we can see what you've been doing.
Okay, I'll just share a window. It's just the app we've been building. Maybe not as helpful to all of you. You're too old. Mostly helping 17 to 18-year-olds right now. But I'll show you some of the fun stuff in it. So it's sort of a maths learning platform, and it's a mix of sort of questions and graphical stuff. Start with the graphical stuff because it's quite fun. So basically, if you the idea is to simplify. Can I see everyone? Well, okay. Yeah, simplify some relatively complex stuff. So if you go to a textbook, you see all this all these arrows pointing in different directions, and for most people that goes over their heads. But if you can get things to move around and slowly build up one step at a time, then you start with the velocity and then show it on the right, see how that's changing. Show the red arrow on the left, see we're accelerating towards the sun. So build things up in steps and make them much more easy to get, more easy to follow one thing at a time. We also had quite a lot of fun building this framework, and it's a sort of question framework as well, where you have let's go to probably less fun. It's more like work. You can do work here. Probably not making you enthusiastic about using this. You don't want to go back and do homework, but at least it's sort of a higher level to a lot of stuff out there is just multiple choice, numeric-y stuff. So we cater to lots of different types of questions. We're doing this as it's actually as a Xamarin app. So we've deployed it to Windows and iOS, UWP, and Mac. Is that it? That could be it. What have we learned from this? I think all projects are 10 times harder than you think when you start them. It's really hard to combine code quality, design, business, and marketing stuff, and to manage people to get those things to coordinate. And I think we've enjoyed doing the fun stuff here. And what another thing that we've learned is that what users care about is mostly what happens in the first 5 seconds of seeing the app, which is not this. It's this. So this is probably the most important screen we've built. So I think as developers, we did for things like login, home screens, we just did something that felt logical and then concentrated on the fun stuff. But to actually get usage, we needed to focus on the beginning and the making things look nice right at the start. Now I've got to log in again. I forgot my username. One sec.
While you're doing that, what are you using for authentication?
You think well. After switching a number of times at huge cost of effort and time, we're using ADB2C. So each one of these is a link to an ADB2C user flow, I think. Mm-hmm. So they're giving us the Microsoft, Google, Apple, and local accounts. The API is pretty good. You've got to use a custom policy in order to do the UI the way you want. If you do it the default way, it ends up unusable to the average user. So, but otherwise, it's a pretty nice API. Oh, come on. Sorry about this. I don't remember my main password. Maybe, yeah, we're doing this. We're doing this in F#, Xamarin, so it's and we're trying to keep this as typed as possible throughout the system. So F# is particularly nice for manipulating tree structures with mathematical expressions, which mathematical expressions are like. But it's pretty nice to have the whole thing from the thing that connects to the database to the actual code to the UI, all defined in the same structure, the same language that can communicate, that can be tightly knitted together. We actually have something like an interactive textbook now, which you can go to learn content through. I think when we started by having a few videos, we're actually using. I see Peter Foot there. Or do you have are you in the hand?
Yes, that's he.
I was muted.
Right.
Yeah, that's
me.
we
we did have your library in when we had videos, but
okay.
We were not good video producers, so
Okay.
so we replaced all that, unfortunately. But it was a very useful library to have while we had videos on our system. Shall I stop sharing? Any thoughts or questions?
So all that animation, is that custom stuff you've done yourself?
Yeah, it's custom stuff. It was quite fun to build. And let me see if I cross this out and share screen. Okay, share. Okay, move this. So, for example, the thing that I just showed was. We have a framework, and then even the actual definition of the data structure is also some type of code. The people that write these things don't necessarily need to be coders, but because they don't use the full language. But we had a couple of graphs being displayed. They each have a different types of objects in them. Times they're appearing. It's basically like a domain-specific language, like a markup language, but it's all nicely type-checked, so very little can go wrong.
Okay, cool.
Stop sharing.
And is this side project, a hobby?
Well, it started as a side project, and now it's become a sort of bigger thing. We've taken a bit of investment, have a small team.
And so this is available to anyone, or is this is it tied to like so my daughter is currently doing a math thing on a website, horrible website, but it's paid for by the school,
Right.
and they have like assignments and tasks that way. Do you have a similar thing, or is it just
We've been working with schools, especially now that they're all going online. They're all scrambling to get things together. But we're going to launch something for individuals in the next couple of weeks as well. I think a lot of them are also in the similar position that they want extra resources because they're going to be at home all the time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this time is an opportunity for you.
Yep.
In a good but sad way. Silver linings and all. And did you have any trouble with the Mac version with Xamarin? So I know people have done sort of experimenting with using Xamarin and outputting to Mac, but I've not seen anyone actually do it.
It took about probably a week of work. So it wasn't just, we didn't just click a switch and get it to work. We clicked a switch and then it worked locally, and then there was a lot of plumbing to get it to work on an actual system. So someone in the team had a lot of pain getting it to work, but it was, definitely worth it. For a week's work, you get another platform.
Okay, cool. Anybody
I think the Mac they've got some sort of catalyst where you can actually put an iOS app on a Mac directly, but that's not ready yet. So once that's ready, who knows which will be easier. We're using Xamarin Mac at the moment.
Okay, so I've just put there we go. I've just put the link to the website in the chat for everyone, or multiple times if you're Steve. Sorry. So let's help Charlie out, at least for building downloads by everybody go.
You can get a prize if you tell us something that's wrong with the app.
Oh, it's available on HoloLens. How does it look on HoloLens? Anything special?
Is it? Well, do you have a HoloLens? I can't afford one, so.
I have MR.
No
I don't have HoloLens.
I don't know why that is. Don't know why it's.
I think it is. It is by default unless you uncheck it with UWP. Right, that's installing. We'll have a play later. Does anyone else have a question for Charles? You Charles or Charlie?
Whatever you like.
Okay, sir. Okay, Mr. Rody, the teacher. If not, Rodrigo, you should be able to share your screen and show us what you've been up to.
Yes, just 1 second. I was unmuted me. Sure. Okay. I think it's ready.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So this is something I have been working on my spare time for, well, on and off for a few months. The idea behind this project was to actually learn something new. I wanted to start it in Uno platform because I wanted to try something new. But as I started working on it, the Skia# implementation it uses, it works, but it didn't give the results I needed. So in the end, I had to fall back to UWP. So what it is, I like to call it that it's a problem looking for a solution. Sorry, a solution looking for a problem. It's an application that lets you draw on a grid with a pen and then erase it. I think it's going to be helpful to some people that just want to use their computers to to draw on an actual grid, or maybe an isometric grid that I'm planning on adding in the future. And right now it's really basic, that lets you zoom out and zoom in, and has just a very basic tools where you can select the line thickness you want and the color, and lets you draw whatever you want using a grid. The grid is 5 units by default. You can use it as millimeters or pixels or whatever you want. It's a vector format, and yeah, you can zoom in and zoom out, and basically it's not tied to anything specific. Why did I start with Juno platform? Because I want it has support for pen. I'm using it right now from a regular computer, but you can draw lines and erase them with a pen if you have Surface or another device with pen support. I wanted to give it support for Windows, iOS, and Android, but yeah, seeing that I could not get the grid to draw properly with Skia, I had to fall back to just Windows, and I will see in the future if I port it to other platforms. I use it just for doodling around. I haven't found a real use for it. I do have a few geometric testings I do for fun with it, just regular things that you can draw with easily with a grid. And other than that, it's basically something I do for fun, and I will end publishing when I think it's complete enough for users to use it regularly. But so far, it's something I'm just doing for fun.
Okay. So you started off trying to use Uno and Skia Sharp.
Yeah.
But then you couldn't. Is it that you couldn't get to Skia Sharp to work or draw with that, or?
I got it to work, but Skia didn't have good aliasing for the lines. See that I'm zooming out, and you can see that they are aliased, but in Skia they become 1 pixel thick, and you cannot see any aliasing on them. They show very jagged for what I'm doing. I'm in touch with someone from Skia. I will send them a version to compare how Skia renders and how Win2D renders, because I'm using Win2D right now. And yeah, basically, I was not happy with how Skia rendered the actual pixels. It was really good and fun and easy to use, but the actual pixels I got on screen was not up to what I was expecting. Probably it's something I misconfigured, because the aliasing looked really, really ugly, but I just decided to switch to this.
No, it looks really cool, because it's something I wouldn't know how to begin doing. So that's always interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it's fun to use, and maybe you can doodle around a bit, but actual, if you were to use it as an actual product, I think it needs a lot of work. I mean, it's not going to be AutoCAD, but you need a lot of tools to make it usable, like a ruler or more kinds of lines or a better interface.
Okay, but no, it's really impressive.
You can have this here, and you can select different line widths. Just 3 for now. I'm thinking about adding arbitrary sizes, then the eraser just erases whatever you want. And right now it uses just a JSON format, but I'm planning on adding the ability to export to SVG and PNG.
Wow, cool.
If you could add Android drawing, vector drawing resources to that, I'd really like that.
Sorry?
You could add Android vector drawables to that. That would be really helpful.
The thing is that the API I use for this is Win2D, which is a wrapper over Direct2D. So what you are seeing on screen is actual vector drawing API from Windows. So it's quite similar to Android drawables.
Very cool.
Well, thank you, Rodrigo. Oh, and
Thank you.
when you get to a point of releasing something, we'd all love to give it a try, I'm sure.
I have an internal beta that I can, it's in App Center. I can give you access to whoever wants to give it a try for now.
Okay, well, I'm sure everyone who wants to give it a try can get in touch with Rodrigo through Meetup, I guess, because everyone
Okay.
made contact there.
Yep.
Does anybody else have a something they would like to show completely off the cuff right now? Anybody feeling inspired by what they've seen, or just, you know, was scared about the need for professionalism, which I completely undid, of course? No, well, maybe another time. I would love to hear from all of you whether you thought this was a good use of 35 minutes of your time. Hopefully it's interesting to see what other people are doing. I find it always cool to see what other people are working on, because it you know, astonishes me that people can do amazing stuff where I wouldn't even know how to begin. And it's, you know, it's always good just to see some friendly faces on the screen and catch up with people and see what everyone's working on. So I'd love to do this again, similar style, or we could look for trying to get some more, you know, structured traditional presentation style stuff set up if people would be interested in that. Please email me, message me, respond now, whatever you think would be good for the future. I'd be up for doing that.
Very enjoyed this, Matt. Next time, hopefully, I will actually have something to show. I'm still trying to get permission to show it. So it's you know my client, so it's a little bit tricky to go through the loops to get it on screen, but hopefully we'll.
Well, that'd be cool. And anyone else? Would you like to see this style of thing again? Is it interesting just to, you know, short, quick little demos? Some nods from people with cameras, brilliant, thank you. People without, I will trust that I will get some little tippy-tappy messages in the future. And with that, if no one has anything else, scratching my head is not touching my face, that's allowed, isn't it? With that, I will say thank you. This has been brilliant. Ooh, someone did a thumbs up. That's good. Oh, good use of the technology. Well done. Thank you, Alessandro. People are saying yes, but I don't know what to. Well, these random questions aren't very helpful. But you know, I'm assuming all the responses I'm getting are positive, so that's a good thing. And we will hopefully do this again. I may or may not share the recording of this. I will have a look at it first and edit out all my awkward rambling at the beginning. Thank you, Brian. It was good for you to join us, even though we couldn't see or hear you. And with that, okay. Endings are always awkward, aren't they?
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye-bye.
See you later, guys. Stay
Cheers.
safe.
Yeah,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Matt.